All right, another patron request here. World War Z. I was shocked I had not done this movie. There's so many movies that I get recommended, and I'm like, I already did that movie. And then I go and look, and unless YouTube is deleting videos of mine, or I'm not able to find them in my own search bar with, my YouTube creator tab and everything. I don't know, man. I maybe I did it on the podcast. I don't think so, but maybe I don't. I thought I did this film. I'm almost positive I did this film. So I don't know, but it's not there. So I'll do it again, I guess. World War Z. Yeah. Fun fact: this is the most expensive horror movie ever made. I know more people would probably say this is an action film with some horror elements or whatever. Okay, whatever you want to say. Semantics, once again, I don't really give a shit. But this is a zombie movie. It has some super intense zombie scenes in it. People are dying right and left. This is the unrated cut that I watched, so it has intense footage not shown in theaters. This is $190 million horror film. Kind of insane. It made 540 million, so it did make quite a profit, mostly because it's Brad Pitt and the trailer was pretty appealing. It, of course, is PG-13, as one would expect, with a $190 million budget. There's not many R-rated, big budget movies. Especially one that's already kind of catering to a niche audience. This is a big risk here, right? Because if we are to take the books, right, we've got the Zombie Survival Guide here by Max Brooks, followed up by the World War Z book that he did as well. These are fairly popular. I'm not going to say they're not popular, but like popular to everybody? Not really. Now, the book itself, right? I have not read this book, but I have perused it. And from what I can tell, the only thing this really has anything to do with regarding the crossover, the adaptation, is that there is a former, was it like a UN or whatever, Brad Pitt's character, he's doing the interviews. And it's kind of taken place all over the world, of course. It's World War Z, and it's just kind of their accounts, and that's really the only similarities there. But how would you do this? How would you do a book of a collection of interviews from people who have went through this zombie apocalypse, this World War Z? You can't really. Unless you want to do an anthology story or something. But for $190 million, putting Brad Pitt in the movie, you're going to have him be a central protagonist for the film, of course. So why use the title? Brand recognition. That's pretty much it, right? Even if this doesn't have the biggest following, it is a following of some sort to kind of at least work from. So I don't have any issue with this not being anything like the book, supposedly, because this isn't the kind of book that would get an adaptation. And especially this. I mean, it would have been cool had the character been writing this book while in the apocalypse, right? And instead of doing World War Z, you do the Zombie Survival Guide. This would have been a better book to adapt, and it's literally the guy creating this book as he's learning how to survive in the apocalypse. And then at the end, he writes this book. He like puts this out in the world, and he's like trying to give it out. And then you get to go out into the world and buy the actual book from the film, and you use the things in here, and it lines up, and you get a whole bunch of extras. This would have been a very cool book to adapt. And then while he was walking around and learning things, you could see stories that took place from this book, and have kind of a little bit of a crossover. So I don't know. That's my take on how to make these that. But hey, man, this is a $190 million movie that made $540 million. This idea that I just said would not have made that kind of money. So I think they did what's right for them when it comes to that, and I also think this is a very fun, entertaining, good zombie film. So it has a 7.1, I think, on IMDb. So this seems to be pretty beloved, as from what I can tell, for a zombie movie. This is one of the higher rated zombie movies that I can find. So it seems to be really, really liked. And remember, this had a sequel that was announced and was supposed to be made for a while. And it was going to have Brad Pitt once again and David Fincher directing it. Does everybody remember this? Does anybody remember this? We heard about this. It was going to happen for a little while. Didn't end up happening, of course. Now, him and Brad Pitt are making the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood sequel with Quentin Tarantino writing for Netflix. So that's what they're currently doing, not World War Z. But anybody remember that? This is from the director of Quantum of Solace, which is kind of wild to me. Because Quantum of Solace, I mean, that movie's Quantum of Soulless. Yeah, man. I used to not hate that film. I rewatched it with my kids recently because I was showing them the Bond movies, and like just the Craig ones, because I don't think they'll like anything before that. They weren't even really honestly liking those Craig films much, and they're like very much modern film girls. It's hard to get them into anything before like 2005. So yeah, I'm honestly pretty surprised because maybe that just got hacked up in the editing room. Maybe this director made a much more competent movie, and because of like Paul Greengrass and the Bourne movies, this was like the style they were trying to copy because it was pretty popular at the time. But that movie does not have a shot that lasts longer than like zero point 0.8 seconds. This movie does not have that problem. This movie feels like a very traditional action movie with its big set pieces, and there's lots of long takes of things, and never was the editing choppy like that movie. Not even close. So kind of wild when I was looking into this, and I was like, really? Quantum of Solace? I would expect this movie to be, harsh cut after harsh cut after harsh cut. But no, so I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that was an editor thing. Anyway, let's talk about the film. All right. So the movie opens with the reminder that the human race is killing the planet. I don't need a reminder. I'm well aware of that. There's still people who seem to think that's fake news or something, which is just fucking insane to me. Just look around. I think it's pretty obvious. I don't see how you see 8 billion people on the planet. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to get preachy on here. It's just actually fucking insane to me that there's people who don't think that like climate change is real and that we're having an insane effect on like the planet, the ocean. Anyway, no more preachy. Moving on from that, we have they're listening to the radio. They do build a very good family dynamic between Brad Pitt and his family. Muriel and however you say her name, from The Killing. In that show, she's like really made under and very unappealing, but purposely so. Her personality, she's very brash. She has no aesthetic vibe to her at all. She's very much like, I get the job done. I have no interest in any kind of, makeup or anything. I don't care. I don't care about anything. I'm just here to do my job and whatnot. But seeing her here contrasting, she's like much, much better looking in this. Very, very attractive. Because when you hear of like the girl from The Killing, is going to be married like to Brad Pitt in a movie. You're like, what? That chick and this what? And but then you see her in the movie, and it's like, oh, okay, no problems here. But anyway, they're in the car and they're playing their games, and they got a good little family dynamic, which they have to set up quick because this movie does not fuck around. It gets to it quick. It does not tease the audience at all. It's very much like, here's our family, here's who you're rooting for, here's a couple minutes with them, and boom, we're in it, and we do not take a breath for much of the rest of this film, which is great. I think that's a smart move. You know, people came to see World War Z. This is supposed to be chaos, and that trailer makes it seem like things are going to be nuts, and they get pretty fucking nuts. Now I could see the CGI being very off-putting to people, and it's just too much, too over the top, and you know, people like the more practical effects zombies. Of course I do as well, and they like the slower zombies. These are the fastest, most aggressive zombies I've ever seen in a film. I don't know anyone could argue differently. These things are locusts. They are so crazy. They are so powerful. They are so fast. They are superhuman. The way that they use each other. We'll get to the very famous scene, but holy shit, this is the scariest zombies ever put to screen. Just realistically, like if this was happening realistically, these are the worst kinds of zombies you could ever encounter. They are impossible to deal with. I have always talked about, you know, in Romero's zombie films, they never show the army being taken out by Romero zombies because it wouldn't happen, right? They never show that in a slow walking zombie movie, how the military got taken over, because it would be impossible to show. There's no way it could happen. I've harped on this many times on the channel because I've covered a lot of zombie movies, and it always just cuts to like a week later, or you know, the people walk and there's just like a tank in the streets, and you know, whatever. Slow zombies would never ever be able to take on the military. They just would stand zero chance. How are you taking out fighter jets, tanks, whatever, as slow zombies? You're just not doing it. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. But these zombies, I believe, could take out anything. These things, when you get 100,000 of these things together, because they're so fast and they work as like a hive mind, and they all kind of work together, and they can create fucking walls, and they literally jump like as far out and grab onto everything and smash that. Jesus Christ, dude. There's nothing you could do against these zombies except for just bomb the shit out of them, right? You'd have to just hit them, level them with like nukes and whatnot. Now, yeah, I mean, in a tank, yeah, they'd be sitting in the tank, and maybe the soldiers inside wouldn't die, but their entire compound would get overrun. They wouldn't be able to get back into their compound. Like, they'd be in their tanks, but then it, like, to go where? Like, they could roll over them until they ran out of gas, and then they'd be kind of stuck in there as the zombies just kept hoarding it until they either came out and fought them or stayed in there and starved to death or whatever, right? So, like, to me, these zombies, I do believe, could take out the military, because it's just so much, so fast, so overwhelmingly. It's like, how do you deal with something like this other than to just bomb the shit out of the area that your soldiers are in and kill your own soldiers? But the slow zombies, no fucking way. There's nothing they could do. They're too fucking slow. They would just kind of casually walk, and the military would just kind of like shoot the fucking shit out of them, and that would be that. It wouldn't be that hard to take out the slow zombies. It just wouldn't. I feel like the United States military in the United States would have no problem taking out slow-moving zombies. Like, I think it would just be fun for them. They'd be like, that was it? That was nothing. That was the apocalypse? Try again. But these, we'd be fucked. Anyways, all right. So yeah, we get the radio talk, which talks about the infection spreading in other countries, very reminiscent of the Last of Us opening, where they're talking about Jakarta and the spread of this virus and whatnot. So anytime I can connect anything to The Last of Us, you guys know I'm going to do it because it's the greatest shit ever. The dump truck coming through is a good scene. The cop sitting in the car, boom, he gets hit. And this clears a path for our characters to drive alongside of. This reminds me of the scene in Die Hard with a Vengeance when McClane is having to get somewhere in a very specific time, and then he calls in an ambulance and follows it in. Great scene. Fucking love that movie. God, I love Die Hard with a Vengeance so much. Some days I really do wish that I had started a channel talking about film. Just film in general. All films. And of course I can, but every time I touch my toe outside of the genre, because it's a horror channel and I primarily talk about horror 99.9% of the fucking time. Anytime I've tried anything outside of the genre, those rarely get any views of any sort. Right? I'm a big Star Wars guy. I've done a couple Star Wars reviews on here. I did the entire MCU. Christian from the Exploding Heads Horror Movie Podcast and me started a show called Men of Action, which went 2 episodes, and like no one watched, no one cared. We did it live. We had like no one hanging out. It was pretty sad. He had to move and everything, so he hasn't had a lot of time. So there wasn't much, people asking for it, so it was kind of like, well, it's not a big deal if you don't come, because who cares. But it is cool to get requests like this that are like have action in them, and then that prompts other discussions, because the good thing about me with this is that I kind of get to incorporate and work in any kind of genre or any kind of discussion I want on the channel, as long as it's relevant to some degree. I can fudge that pretty well, and pretty ridiculously at times. I know I can rant, but supposedly, the subscribers here, they enjoy the longer talks and the rants and whatnot. So if you're not one of those people, you're not one of those people, and that's fine. But I do love talking about all films, any genre, for any age. I just love film. I love talking about it. And so cool. It's cool to cover things that are a little different, and I get to compare them to things I don't typically get to talk about. Anyway, so then, of course, as always, the kids messing around the back seat, they always cause the crash. This happens in so many movies, and it's very realistic, because when your kids are, screwing around and putting themselves in danger, and all you're trying to do is protect them, you can try to overprotect and take your eyes off the road and crash, and there you go. We're in this situation. But would they have lasted much longer driving around in that car? Probably not. So, and everything ends up working out. Spoilers for the movie, obviously, but everything ends up working out for this family. They all 4 survive. They even pick up like a son. He's with them in the end, right? Is he in Nova Scotia, standing alongside of the family in the end? I don't remember. Shit, I wasn't really looking for him. I was just making, I saw him and I was like, okay, he got his family and cool. And then they went into the whole spiel in the end about the vaccines and whatnot. Shit, I don't remember. I'd have to look back at that scene now. Well, because I was like, I think they picked up a son. This is what the war brought them. I hope he's there. I hope they took him in. I hope he became part of the family, because his family definitely is a reason that they're alive, and I think they got them killed. I think so. He owes, they owe it to this kid to take him in, because they get into the fight, into the car crash, and he's watching everything that's going on around them, and he is using this counting, because this girl has a doll and he picks it up, and right as he does, this guy gets bit. It's a nice visual medium. uh, you know, device to educate the audience on the spread of this in a stylistic way. I think I always like when they do that, even if it's convenient. I don't care. It's a fucking movie. It can be convenient as long as it's not too eye rolly. I was fine with this. The doll goes off, the counting starts, he looks back, he's checking on this thing to see how long it's going to take for the infection to spread. It's about 12 seconds or so. I think is the sorry, it's 1:24 in the morning. I shouldn't even be doing this late. But yeah, he uses the counting. I think it's 12 seconds, as I had said. We find out then he gets into the RV, drives off. His daughter is asthmatic. That's a problem in a world like this. You definitely don't want to have any physical ailments, diabetes, asthma, fucking anything that you need treatment for on a regular basis, or you're gonna die. You're screwed. You need to be, the healthiest survive. So there you go. But he does what he can, and then yeah, as always, how fast would society fall apart? I guess at the speed of the zombies, right? The faster the zombies, the faster things would fall apart. I don't know what's realistic, but people a lot of the times think that movies speed things along a little too fast, and they believe things wouldn't fall apart. I know I've talked about this a lot on the channel, but I think it would fall apart just as fast, or if not faster. I don't see anything to support that humans aren't overreactionary. As soon as something goes wrong, I lived through COVID. I saw the fears. I watched my brother go on a rant, freaking the fuck out, talking about joining a militia and killing people. Like, don't even get me started. It's a whole story. He was losing his mind, freaking out about things. And I was like, chill the fuck out. It's incredible how fast people go off the deep end when they're scared and confused and they don't have all the information. I get it. Fear is a potent drug, man, or emotion. So I get it, but damn, man, humans are worrisome, to say the least. So they go to the pharmacy. The whole pharmacy scene. We get this kid behind the counter who's shot the pharmacist, and you think he's going to be a threat, but he's like a really nice guy, and he's like, here, take this, and oh, this one worked wonders for my kid. Yeah, that's a scene that's left pretty ambiguous. I don't know what to make of it. He does look like he's a drug addict, maybe, but he's frantic. Maybe they all do, so I don't want to judge. I don't know what that is, because he's so nice to him. It's kind of like, he doesn't seem like a bad guy. He has no ulterior motives. He takes a moment in this chaos and panic to help this guy out and to actually give him extra things. And he says about his little girl, so I can only assume he's also got her to take care of, or at least, think about taking care of her if he can get to her. I don't know. I don't know what's up with that scene, but I thought that was a cool little added scene there, that the guy you think is going to be the threat is helpful. But then dudes are like trying to steal his wife. I guess is like, we're gonna need a toy when we go hide out. We ain't gonna fuck each other, so we gotta grab something else. We're gonna grab some food and some vagina. Terrible. And then he gets that guy, he kills that guy, and one of the two, the other guy runs off, gets away. Unfortunately, I'm sure he's killed by a zombie. Hopefully. And then a cop runs in, and Pitt thinks like, oh shit, I'm under arrest. But no, of course, as always, once things go chaotic and whatnot, jobs no longer exist. None of this shit matters anymore. All the like, all of the conditioning and all of the, like. What's the word I'm trying to think of here? Pledges that you've made and all that shit. That all just goes away, right? Like, that's why I always try to remind my kids that this life, like what we live in, the society that we live in, this is all just made up. This is all make believe. This is what people do in polite society. But it's all fake. This is all fake. It's all created by us, and we all adhere to it. We all play along like it matters, like it's reality. It is because we make it that way, right? Like getting back to the opening of this with saving the planet, when they're always like, well, we could fix this problem, but it would cost too much money. And it's like, the planet's gonna die, and you're talking about money, which we made up, right? Like, if we have the solutions for the problem, especially if that problem is going to kill all of us, then we all as people need to step back and go, okay, obviously this is of great importance. Fuck the money. We just do the thing. So whoever has the resources, they need to just give them up. And they need to work towards it. And they need to all kind of come together and say, we have to do this thing because we're all going to die. If we all die because we made up something and we're like, sorry, like, we can't do that thing because of this made up thing, that will be the lamest fucking way that the human race could possibly die. But that's pretty much what I expect. People are fucking idiots, and we will doom ourselves because that's what we're good at. We are really good at being dipshits. So yeah, we can continue to keep playing around with this whole made up bullshit and kill ourselves. So anyway, it's 1:30 in the morning. I'm getting morose. All right, let's see. He puts. They go into the apartment complex, or building, and the family lets him in, mostly because the little girl comes to the door first and is begging to be let in. They let him in. This ultimately leads to their death. They should have came with them, but it's their choice to stay. This draws attention to their door. They get attacked. We see the father is dead. He's a zombie. He's running after them. The kid goes with them, so at least they save the kid. Honestly, staying there, they would have died. I believe they would have died. I don't think they had enough food provisions to last through however long this was going to take. So all of them would have died. So with this, the kid at least got to survive. So probably for the best, honestly, this happened. But regardless, opening that door did end up getting them killed quicker than they probably would have. But ultimately, their son does survive. So, yeah. He equips some level of body armor in this movie, something I am screaming about in every fucking zombie movie I ever watch. Put on body armor. And for a universe that has the zombie survival guide in it, they better. And speaking of the word zombie, they actually use that word in here, but it's a known word, as it should be, and everyone kind of rolls their eyes at the idea that they're zombies. But it's like, if you've seen them, there's no question on what the fuck you're dealing with here. These are 100% zombies. Anyway. And then, so body armor. Thank you. Always just body armor. Once again, I'll say it a million times. Anytime we talk about zombie movies, get yourself a full leather suit, like a gimp suit from Pulp Fiction. Put that fucking thing on. Zombies can't bite through that. They can gnaw at you and they can really hurt you and damage, your skin underneath, but they're not going to they're not going to be able to bite through that. If you get thick enough leather and you stick it on, it's going to be hot as fuck, but you're going to be bite proof at least. But you get obviously if enough get on you in this world, they'll just dogpile you and you'll just suffocate from the amount of weight on you. You get no oxygen. So this world, you're kind of just fucked, to be completely honest, unless you got the hookup like our main man Brad Pitt here. Jerry, and then his friend's name is something odd but sounds a lot like Jerry. And you're sitting there like, wait, what's the name that they're saying? They're very similar sounding. So I was like, wait, which one? Matthew Fox from Lost Dr. Jack Sawyer from freaking, yeah, Lost here. He is Jack Sawyer? Did I really just. This is what happens at 1:30 in the morning. Guys, this is what happens. Sawyer? I literally took the two popular characters on Lost and I put them together into one character. Wow. That's terrible. I literally just watched all 6 seasons of Lost again with my kids just a couple months ago. Wow. I gotta go to bed after this. I don't even know if I should be recording this late because obviously my brain is fucking mush at the moment. But yeah, Matthew Fox. I would expect him to be in bigger things, but ever since Lost, he never really had much of a huge career. I saw him in a few things here and there. I think he was the villain in that Alex Cross movie with Tyler Perry. I remember him in that Vantage. Was it called Vantage or Vantage Point or something? I saw him here and there, but he didn't make a lot. I really thought he'd have a bigger splash, and I don't know if I've seen him honestly in a while now. So after the success of Lost, I would have thought that we would have saw more. And his role in this, he has like 2 lines. Like, why? Why is he in this movie as some completely throwaway character? Like, anybody could have played this. It's weird. I don't understand why he has such a small role in this. You would think that he would be like, bro, I have a big name. Uh, I want a little more screen time. I want a little bit better of a character. But hey, maybe he was just like a big fan, or he was friends with Brad Pitt, and he's like, yeah, I got a weekend. I can film a couple scenes. It'd be cool to be in your movie. I know, like Daniel Craig, speaking of the Bond movies, was like a stormtrooper in The Force Awakens or whatever. He doesn't even show his face, so whatever. Like, it's fine. It's just odd, I guess, just to see him in here and being like, why is your part so small? And then, oh yeah, so he gets some blood in his mouth, which is great. I like this attention here to detail. And then he immediately runs over and stands on the ledge and starts counting to see if he's going to turn. And if he starts to feel like he's going to turn, he's going to jump to save his family from him. Great scene. Awesome. Very smart. Very cool scene. Really like it. Incorporating the time that he learned about, shows his intelligence, shows his commitment to his family. Addresses something like blood in the mouth and whatnot that a lot of zombie movies don't. One of the only ones I've ever seen address this is 28 Days Later, when Brendan Gleeson's character gets the little blood drop from the bird in his eye and it changes him. It's like, yes, finally, blood in your eyes or in your mouth or whatever will affect you, infect you. Of course they will. So very rarely is a thing in zombies, and in here it isn't, I guess, a thing, but at least it's addressed. That is a possibility. So thank you for that. Very cool. And then when they're dolphin diving, just like full on flipping off the roofs, that's crazy. Very cool scene. They're so intense. And then let's see. Yeah, they get to the boat and the guy's like, all right, we need you to do this. And he's like, I don't want to do it. Nope, I'm not doing it. And the guy's like, look, there's only so many spots on this boat. Do our shit or you and your family gotta go. That's super realistic. It's fucked up, of course, but realistic 100%. So I thought that was cool. I mean, it makes sense. It's a perfect driving force for the plot and why he would go, because no one would go back, but he has to because this is what he used to do. Not this specifically, but he's like one of their main men on the ground and whatnot. So I thought that was cool. And then so yeah, he gets out and they take the doctor, who's like the most important person who could possibly cure this thing, with them Onto the ground? I don't know. This seems really stupid to me. You would think that they would have radio communication and whatnot, or like visual communication or something, and take expendable people, the soldiers and whatnot, and send them, give them instructions on what to look for, talk to him on the phone, whatever. But to take the guy who's your best shot at curing this thing and putting him on the ground is so stupid. So that doesn't make sense to me. And then it's pretty funny because he ends up killing himself. He accidentally like tries to run, slips, and shoots himself, which I've seen used in quite a few movies at this point. It's kind of a funny gag. I want to say the first time I ever saw it was in the movie Out of Sight with George Clooney, which is weirdly somewhat tied to Jackie Brown through the Michael Keaton character. Great movie. Haven't seen it in a long time, but I always remember the guy like running up the stairs, tripping, and killing himself. So yeah, I don't. Yeah, I've seen it in quite a few movies, but I just think him being there is really, really dumb. So they go there, and then this is where we meet this guy who's imprisoned, and he's talking about how, you know, this nation pulled out all the teeth of like 22 million people and whatever. It's such bullshit. This is David Morse's character, and he compares before that, the doctor, when they're on the flight, compares Mother Nature to a serial killer and that wants to get caught and leaves behind clues and whatnot. I thought that was a really cool speech. I really liked that a lot. I thought that was very well written and delivered. So dug that. Also really like the music. There's some really rad music here in this movie. It's a little repetitive, but it has a good score to it, pretty haunting at times, so good stuff. And then yeah, the David Morse character, he kind of tells them bullshit. He pulls out his own teeth with his bare hands. No, bullshit, not possible. I could not grab this tooth and pull it out. No, 100% you could not do that. Like a front tooth, like growl on you with your bare hand and pull it out. No, not possible. So that was kind of stupid to me. I don't understand that. Was he had like radiation sickness or something and his body's falling apart? Maybe that would work, but just like a regular healthy guy pulling out his fucking healthy teeth with bare hands? No way. No fucking way. The phone call from his wife almost gets him killed. This is very reminiscent of Die Hard, funny enough. Die Hard 2, Die Harder, when Holly Gennaro texts John McClane as he's running up to that church, and the beeper goes off, and then he has to get in the fight with the guy and it kills him with the icicle. That's funny. I didn't even think about the two connections there, because I never think about anything. I just press record and just talk. So what the fuck do I know? I don't write any of this shit down. I just could put the most vague notes you could imagine. If you guys think I like wrote any, like if you think this is a script, you're fucking crazy. The shit I write sometimes, I literally just wrote dolphin dive, no self-preservation. That's it. That's my note for the zombies jumping off the roof and all that shit about, like, it's crazy. If you actually read my notes, there's a reason why half the time, not half the time, that's fucking nonsense. Every once in a great while, probably 1%, half the time, Jesus Christ, 0.1% of the time, I will look at a note and I'll be like, I have no idea what this means. Because I'll write the most vague shit imaginable. I think some people think these are like, this is a script, or that I have like a lot of thoughts put down here, like, oh, compare it to this and talk about this. And no, my good God, if you guys read my notes, you'd have no idea. It would be funny to like have someone read these, like my kids or anybody, and read these and try to like talk about a movie based on these notes. They would be like, huh? What does this mean? This doesn't mean anything. These are just random words. That's funny. I wonder if you guys ever think of what these notes say. They're not impressive, let me tell you that fucking for sure. Anyway. And then the soldiers, that are down there on the ground that get them back up in the air. The way they give their life so freely, Jesus Christ, man, these guys are committed. Um, I'm a goddamn Zeke. They like to call him Zeeks. And the one dude gets bit and shoots himself. Of course, off screen, PG-13. But man, these guys are fucking heroes, no doubt. While they're flying, they just see nukes going off. That's got to be wild to see from the air from any distance. Yeah, but Jesus, like up above and just seeing nukes hitting the ground. Crazy shit. Um, Israel was way ahead of it because of this whole 10th man idea, because of the Holocaust and all these other events. They need to have one person who, no matter how illogical, has to investigate the claims. And when he went to look into it, he found out this shit was real. And then we get the wall and all that stuff. So that was pretty cool. I don't feel like he'd have enough time to investigate this. It's just so fucking fast. Like once it starts spreading, the speed in which it spreads, it's like there and it's everybody's infected. 2 seconds. I don't know how he has any time. The celebration in the little town square, of course, is what creates the big scene with the zombies crawling all over the walls like bugs, right? They remind you of bugs. The scene almost plays out like Starship Troopers. Speaking of a movie that they had me review just a couple movies ago. So they definitely resemble insects in this. Ants, I guess, would probably be the most apt descriptor. The Segan, the girl that he picks up, the Israeli shaved head soldier girl in this, so cute. What a good looking woman. I know some of you will be like, I don't like them lesbian they thems with that shaved head. If you've seen some of the disgusting comments my wife gets, you'll know what I'm talking about. Dipshits. Wall scene and all that stuff's good. She gets infected. He cuts off the limb. Pretty traditional zombie fare at this point. The amount of people getting their limbs chopped off to prevent the spread is pretty commonplace at this point. I don't know what the first movie that does it is. I know they do it in Day of the Dead, which is like 85. Dawn of the Dead? Yeah, they do it in Dawn. That's right. They do it. Wait, do they? Do they cut off his limbs? I don't think. No. He just gets bit, and it takes a little while for him to turn. I don't think anybody cuts off their limbs anyways. What's the first movie where they cut the limbs off to try to save people from the infection spreading? That's a good question. Day of the Dead's the earliest thing I can think of at the moment, but I'm sure someone's going to bring up something from like 1901. And then, yeah, they get on the plane, which is really intense. The zombie hiding on the plane and like the whole showdown in the back cabin, and then he has no choice but to pull a freaking grenade out and throw it, which opens up a hole in the side of the plane. Everybody's dying anyway, so there's not really much to save, and they all get sucked out. The whole thing I could think about when I was watching, the whole time I was watching this scene, all I could think about is what I meant to say, is that poor little doggy that was running around. He definitely did not survive. And then, yeah, that plane goes down. Really good action scene. Good scene between him and Sagan as he's like trying to dress her wounds. Pretty intense. A lot of blood and whatnot. I can only imagine that was added for the unrated cut. And then, yeah, they think he's dead, so they kick his wife off the ship and send her to Nova Scotia. That ends up not really mounting to much. They're just totally fine by the time he gets to Nova Scotia, so you know, them getting kicked off, it adds to his pressure and whatnot, and like his urgency, like I gotta get to a phone, I gotta do this and that, but nothing really comes of it. Then yeah, he gets to who yeah, he gets to who, And yeah, I mean, he figures out that the kid and the older guy and all that, they're terminal, and he's going to create this camouflage for them to work off of. And he goes in there, and they retrieve it. He injects himself. He proves that it's true, and because of this, they can make some vaccine that they can give and fight back. Now, what this does, I would assume the soldiers take it, they go in and they can fight the zombies as the zombies don't pay attention to them anymore. They very much outright say in this that these are zombies, like they're dead. Because when he floats the idea of the disease, she's like, "You didn't think we thought of that, but the disease needs a living host, and these guys are dead." So they are dead. This isn't like a 28 days later or something where people are like, "No, it's an infected, it's not a zombie." No, these are dead bodies reanimated by some virus. So they are definitely zombies, for sure. The unrated cut is 7 minutes longer. I don't know what the added footage is. I've not seen this movie enough to comment. And then yeah, I mean, I guess if you were already very sick, then you could volunteer pretty easily to go in. How many people? I guess anybody who was sick and dying already, they got to escape this. I can only imagine, though, some of them died just by all sorts of different accidents and explosions and whatever that happened. But if only they knew, they could just relax and they're going to be just fine, at least for like another month or two before their disease kills them. So it is a tad unfair, because the people who are terminal, it's like, well, you survived the zombie apocalypse, but you'll be dead by the end of the weekend, so it doesn't really matter. So hooray for their extra couple days. At least they don't get to, at least they don't have to be bitten, torn apart, or bitten and then kill other people. So there's a silver lining for your cancer or whatever. So World War Z, there you go. It was a journey. We talked about it. I went all over the place, said a whole bunch of insane shit because my brain isn't working, and it's 1:51 in the morning, which means I probably have been doing this review for like 45 minutes. So there you go. Hope you got your patron money's worth. And if you want to support the channel, check us out on Patreon, or become a member of the channel, or just keep watching our videos. That's enough. And we'll see you in the comments. Adios.